Number 1 of VLC. Back in 2001, a group of students at Paris got frustrated that no single media player could handle every file format they threw at it, so they built one themselves. That project became VLC, short for Videoland Client, and it was released as open-source software, meaning anyone in the world could use, study, or improve it for free. The original goal was simple: stream and play video over a network without depending on proprietary software or paid licenses. VLC is a media player, which means its job is to take a video or audio file and convert it into something your screen and speakers can actually output. What makes it different from most players is that it comes with its own built-in decoders. Those are the pieces of software that translate encoded file formats into raw playback. When you open a file in VLC, it first identifies the container format, things like MP4, MKV, or AVI, which is basically the box holding the video and audio tracks together, and runs the right decoder to decompress and play it. Number 2, DaVinci Resolve. DaVinci Resolve is used on over 90% of Hollywood feature films and TV shows, and the free version is more powerful than most paid editing software on the market. Originally built in the 1980s as a color grading tool for broadcast television, it was acquired by Blackmagic Design in 2009 and rebuilt from scratch as a full post-production platform. The free version today includes a professional-grade video editor, a color grading suite, visual effects tools, audio mixing, and even a collaborative workflow system. Inside Resolve, your footage flows through a node-based color pipeline, which means instead of stacking filters on top of each other in a list, you connect them as visual nodes in a graph. This gives colorists precise control because each adjustment, exposure, saturation, hue, is isolated in its own node rather than baked together. The limitation here is that node-based color grading has a steep learning curve. Most beginners stare at the color page for 10 minutes before giving up and going back to the cut page. In real systems, Resolve splits its work across your CPU, GPU, and dedicated hardware called DaVinci processing units if you have them. For most users without the paid hardware, the free version still uses GPU acceleration, which means video effects and color rendering are handled by your graphics card rather than your processor. Most people don't realize that Resolve's free version supports up to 4K output at full quality. The paid studio version is mainly needed for AI-powered features and formats above 4K. The thing most beginners skip is Fusion, Resolve's built-in visual effects module, which can do green screen compositing, motion graphics, and 3D tracking all without leaving the app. In the film industry, dedicated colorists use Resolve while editors use Premiere or Avid. Number 3, OBS. OBS has 3 main parts: sources, scenes, and the output pipeline, and once you understand those 3 things, the whole app makes sense. Over 3 million people use OBS daily, and it powers streams on Twitch, YouTube, and pretty much every live platform that exists. A scene is a saved layout of sources. So scene 1 might be just your webcam full screen, scene 2 might be your webcam in the corner with your game behind it. You can switch between scenes instantly during a stream without interrupting the output, which is how streamers go from a starting soon screen to full gameplay without any cuts. Each source in a scene can be resized, layered, filtered, and independently controlled for volume or visibility. OBS takes all those sources, composites them into a single video frame 30 or 60 times per second, then compresses that frame using a codec, usually H.264 or HEVC, and either sends it live to a streaming platform or writes it to a file on your disk. The output pipeline is where you set your bitrate, resolution, encoder, and destination, and this is also where most people make mistakes. If this is starting to make sense, if you finally understand why VLC just works and OBS isn't as scary as it looks, hit like and subscribe right now so you don't miss the rest. Number 4, Blender. Blender has over 15 million users worldwide and is the only fully free 3D software that's actually used in professional film production. Imagine a visual effects artist at a small studio who needs to model, rig, animate, light, and render a character, all in one app, all for free. They open Blender, build the character mesh in edit mode, add an armature to create a skeleton, then paint skin weights so the bones deform the mesh correctly when animated. That render might take 4 minutes per frame on a consumer GPU. At 24 frames per second, a 10-second shot takes nearly 16 hours to render. This connects directly to why cloud rendering farms exist. Studios push Blender renders to hundreds of GPUs in parallel so they don't wait weeks for a finished scene. Blender is used for animated short films, product visualization, game asset creation, and increasingly for architecture walkthroughs. The Blender Foundation itself produced several fully open-source short films, including Tears of Steel and Cosmos Laundromat, built entirely in Blender to push the software's limits. Number 5. Audacity. Audacity has been downloaded over 100 million times since its release in 2000, making it one of the most used audio tools on the planet. And it's entirely free and open source. On one side, you have digital audio workstations like GarageBand or Logic Pro. On the other side, you have Audacity, a multi-track audio editor built specifically for recording, editing, and exporting real audio like voice, interviews, and acoustic recordings. Audacity records audio directly from your microphone into uncompressed waveform files, which it then displays as a visual timeline you can cut, copy, move, and manipulate. You can stack multiple audio tracks on top of each other, adjust their volume and timing independently, and export the final mix as MP3, WAV, FLAC, or a dozen other formats. Its core strength is simplicity. If you need to record a podcast, clean up background noise, cut out silence, and export an audio file, Audacity does all of that without requiring any music theory knowledge. Most people don't realize that Audacity includes a noise reduction tool that actually works. You sample the background noise, then apply the profile to remove that noise pattern across the whole recording. Podcasters use it to clean up home recordings, teachers use it to edit audio for e-learning courses, and journalists use it to cut interviews. Compared to GarageBand, Audacity runs on Windows, Mac, and Linux. GarageBand is Mac and iOS only, which makes Audacity the default free option for anyone not in the Apple ecosystem. If you just need to record your voice and make it sound less like a tin can, Audacity is still, after 25 years, the fastest way to get there. Number 6. Revo Uninstaller. Windows has over 1.4 billion active users, and almost all of them have leftover software junk slowing their machines down right now. When you uninstall a program using Windows' built-in tool, it runs the app's own uninstaller, which only removes the files that were registered at installation time. Any extra files the app created after install, saved settings, cache folders, registry keys, stay behind because the uninstaller doesn't track those. Over time, this adds up across dozens of apps until your system feels sluggish and your disk shows low storage on things you thought you removed. Revo Uninstaller fixes this by running the app's own uninstaller first, then scanning the file system and Windows registry for everything that was left behind. Think of it like uninstalling an app and then having someone actually check the closets under the bed and behind the couch. It shows you every leftover file, folder, and registry key and lets you choose what to delete safely with a backup option before anything is permanently removed. The common mistake people make is thinking that uninstalling an app through Windows settings is a complete removal. It almost never is for complex software. The free version covers most users' needs, though the paid version adds more advanced scanning algorithms and batch uninstall tools. If you've ever reinstalled Windows because your PC felt too slow and then regretted it 3 days later, Revo Uninstaller is what you should have tried first. Number 7. Inkscape Advanced Concepts. Most beginners use Inkscape like a drawing tool. Click, drag, make shapes, done. But what Inkscape is actually doing under the hood is something completely different. Every shape you draw is stored as a mathematical description, not a grid of pixels. The insight that separates someone who uses Inkscape from someone who truly understands it is knowing that the SVG format is a coordinate system, and that every design decision you make is just math in disguise. Knowing this matters because when things break, and they will, you can open the raw SVG XML, read the path data, and fix it manually. It took the open-source SVG rendering community about a decade to get Boolean path operations reliably stable, which explains a lot about the behavior you might have already noticed. Number 8. Krita. Krita has been downloaded over 25 million times and now competes directly with Photoshop and Clip Studio Paint in the digital illustration market, which would have sounded impossible 10 years ago. The biggest shift happening right now in tools like Krita is the integration of AI-assisted brushes and generative fill tools, which major open-source contributors are actively developing as plugins. Stable diffusion integrations, in particular, are being built directly into open-source creative apps, letting artists generate reference textures or fill regions using AI without leaving their drawing environment. New brush engine standards are also emerging. Krita's current MyPaint brush engine is being extended by community developers to support pressure-sensitive simulation more accurately on lower-end hardware. The open raster file format, which Krita uses natively, is an open standard that could eventually replace proprietary formats like PSD, though that shift hasn't happened yet. What's becoming outdated is static, non-AI-assisted painting workflows for commercial illustration, not because creativity is being replaced, but because clients increasingly expect faster turnaround times, which pushes artists toward tools that augment their speed.